Hi there, welcome back to the Kenny Veach M Cave mystery missing person case. Today I wanted to do a discussion and catch up on comments from my previous videos, ranging from people's thoughts and reactions from one of the new Kenny Veach M Cave articles, news media pieces out there, which I reviewed in recent time, as well people's questions in between, see if any of them can be answered. And of course, last night's video, I believe it was one of the most important ones. What did people have to say about that too? So there is a range of stuff to talk about today and respond back to. This is the style and format of these videos. Instead of incorporating these into the other ones which slow down everything and stuff, this is more casual, more conversations, still on a deeper scale, and it can still open up new ideas and suggestions for the future. That was demonstrated last night by Andrew Culver, who raised a point about certain audio in Kenny Veach's hike. Stuff what we've heard before, but never really acknowledged as a separate standalone video. So something like that will be coming in the future, okay? But take in mind, there's a range of different cases going on and still research to be done. So it needs to be done in a specific order. So it's not messed up, but it is under control. Hopefully you understand that. Shout out to all those that are currently here in this live premiere. Be sure to share your thoughts, opinions and reactions in the live chat. And if you do want to leave comments or questions, list them down below in the comments section. Down below, you'll find a pinned comment to additional links if you wish to check them out. And the I symbol throughout this video, top right corner of the video screen. You click on that, you can find a list of other videos you may have not watched, right? So, such as the videos today, what we're going over. As for the comments, if you want to see the video content itself, be sure to go over to my channel and look back at the previous videos I've covered about that stuff, including the one last night. The one last night is arguably a very important video, and the usage of footage was analysed, and some kind of conclusion was reached as well, at least from my opinion, okay? So we can see if people agreed or not within the comments section. There was a good level of focus last night, so that's good to see. And I feel there'll probably be similar amount of focus tonight too. I guess it's only when I covered the Dylan Rounds case where it kind of goes downhill at times. But as said, it's out of my control. But if there's stuff to cover on the Dylan Rounds case, there is stuff to cover regardless, right? And as I already said, there was a protocol put up that if it all goes wrong and fails, plan B is always an option in which it can be re-uploaded for a better viewing experience in the future. So as I said, it's under control there. But as for today, let's just focus on Kenny Veach M Cave. I know Jay Chuck has been out there recently. He also said about Joe May Road is now open once again. I do need to do a short video on this. Take in mind what I'm trying to consciously do now, but I can only do one thing at a time. As said, if I upload too many videos close together, YouTube punishes me because I'm working too hard. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I've seen it myself, right? So I've got to slow things down a little bit, and it's very hard to do at times when there's so much to say and cover. But what I'm going to try and do more are short videos on the Kenny Veach case, so it reaches a wider audience and new people come on in. It's already been a success, but I want to keep it going, right? And let that natural growth come on in. And, it might lead to all kinds of possibilities and new thoughts and ideas and maybe new material. So I still need to do a short video on Joe May Road originally being closed and now being open once again. So it's just these, retrospective video clips to acknowledge, because they are very important and you want as many people to hear about it, right? So these videos and discussions can help raise the questions and comments from others of previous videos, where maybe most of the time they'll just get completely ignored or brushed over by most people. But by putting them into a video like this, you'll be able to see them yourself, okay? Is there anything else to acknowledge before we go any further? I don't think so. All we're going to do is just go on to the previous or 2 YouTube videos I did, look at the comments, acknowledge them, answer any questions, go from there. If you are watching late, catching up on replay, just feel free to leave your comments down below, okay? Let's now head on over. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to adjust it to the newest comments and then we can work our way up. A range of them to get through. Skeptical, shout out to Skeptical for engaging with the comments frequently and as well support to the channel. Skeptical says, if Kenny Veach did fake his disappearance, it would make sense for him to think leaving his truck and cell phone in a known place he would visit to confirm. His daughter stated she knew he would end up in prison and she didn't want that for him. He could be charged for wasting government resources if found alive. And the bit about the daughter believing that he would go to jail, I think it was in a text conversation that, and I did cover it in one of my previous videos. So it's good to see Skeptical picking up on that previous stuff. June says, why in the world would his daughter state something like that? Oh, it must have repeated itself. And then Susan Veach, shout out to Susan Veach, the sister-in-law to Kenny Veach, a Veach-related family member, says in response, because people before him were arrested for fraud and had to pay restitution. Okay, so there is that. Now, I don't know if there was anything, I know there was the part about Vicky Veach, the daughter, in response to the CCTV footage as well, where at a point in time she was like, oh, it is Kenny Veach, but then retracted it later and changed in behaviour as what followed with other family members closing tight on that. So that's another interesting bit of behaviour there. Maybe it was then also mentioned where the daughter said, oh, he might go to jail, you know, if that's really him. Anyway, anything else to acknowledge here? I do understand what Skeptical is meaning though. You know, you leave items out there in a place you said you were going to, and then you just so happen to go missing. People are already going to assume that you're out there and you're missing. And upon finding the items, evidence, it proves it. But is it enough to prove? Well, to most people, yeah. But with the research done along the way, it does open up questions and doubts it. So we've got this guy called Bog, shout out to them, new viewer, saying you can look on another platform that does not have so many rules for what can be shown and put the video there, then put a notice on YouTube that they have a new video. So those who think you are a waste of air, slide on, and only your loyal viewers who will watch the movie. I understand. Cleo, I like Warlight Ref's rules. Sorry about that. Right. So, Bog, I have tried other platforms. I've tried TikTok. I've tried Rumble. Rumble is terrible. I hate the layout. I hate the process. It's lacking many features. The upload time and schedule is crap. The thumbnail selection thing is inconsistent, useless. The whole how you upload the video and make it public, whether it's a private one or a public one or an external public one, too much wishy-washy options which are not needed. It's stupid in my opinion, but I have tried it at least. 2 people went on over to the Rumble video, as I can remember, 2 to 3 people or so. I think if I did change platform elsewhere, it wouldn't directly be a matter of like loyal people heading on over or not. It would probably just be a personal preference type of thing, because you will get good people that might not follow over because they just preferred the platform of YouTube, maybe the layout and all of that. So if anything does change, to them it's seen as a great disappointment, but it is what it is. I know, because I have experienced it already. Yeah, okay, I can go from YouTube covering videos which could get about 500 people up to 1,000 people watching. I could move on to Rumble properly and I might only get about 5 views. It sounds silly, but I'm being very realistic, okay? You start up elsewhere, you know, you're right at the very bottom, and is it worthwhile? So, yeah, it's messy. We got Glenn, we got Cleo. You're welcome. Vladimir saying Kenny Veach either committed suicide or faked his disappearance. He was not the person he portrayed on his videos. Interesting point there. Badger, do you know him? Susan, I did, and he is right. So a bit about he's not the person who's portrayed in the videos. I think Susan raised a point previously that certain family members and Kenny himself have unsavory thoughts or certain actions, mentalities and attitudes towards money making, money in general, doing certain immoral acts or so when it comes to money in the past. I'm not elaborating right now because I can't fully remember it, but it was along that line of certain key individuals need to add in to fill in those grey spaces. You're welcome to down below. But, you know, even if it's not completely the dark side of Kenny Veach, just like the video explained last night, that, okay, he comes across in a certain way that he's passionate, he's determined to find a cave, but when given the chance, he, you know, equips himself not properly, he's limited his resources, he makes it harder on himself, he doesn't really investigate properly. You know, it seems like the opposite. So let me know your thoughts there. This guy saying, David, if not for AJ and Hecklefish, the Y files, I wouldn't have searched for more information and ran across your channel. So I don't think that is fair, but thank you for the video. Right, so the Y Files is a channel which has over 2 million subscribers, recently covered the Kenny Veach case, which gained 1.3 million views, and all of a sudden it's like really popular. Okay, but just remembered the building blocks and the foundations from the real OGs, originals, okay? OG, doesn't that mean original gangster? Oh God, goodness me. Apologies about that wording, but the originals, you know, the ones that started from the beginning, and not even just me, but ones before that, Jeff Clark, Sean Horlacher, do they get acknowledged enough? I don't think so, but they should do. And the same with SB Vega's Adventures. That's why when I do respond back to ignorant people over times in general, I'm not just doing it from my point of view, but others as well, because it should be acknowledged and talked about. Now, at the end of the day, this person, David, mentioning that I only come here because of somebody else, that's good. It shows it has a positive influence, that it can work out. But still, it depends how far people are willing to go. It seems as if David is willing to go further in terms of research, which is good. But I think many others, majority, aren't. They'll listen to the wishy-washy, retold, regurgitated story with a bit of additional research, as we've seen recently, but do they look at the rest and the whole picture? Do they look at the threats, the warnings? You know, very serious, deep matters, okay? You could be an established YouTube channel. You could be a big channel at the end of the day, and you could cover the case either poorly or done fairly well, as demonstrated by the Y Files. But do they come across any resistance? Do they come across death threats? Do they face all kinds of obstacles along the way? No, because they're just there and present temporarily. That's it. But as for the others, the originals, the smaller channels, the lesser known people that put in a lot of hard work over time, not just me, but others, and they are underappreciated, and YouTube does a poor job as well in terms of the reach and putting those videos out there so the general public can come across them in the first place. But of course, you always come across the second obstacle and barrier. It's the question of, can the general public be bothered in the first place to research, or do they all expect it on a plate in a few bullet points? You get what I'm saying? And when it comes to the Kenny Veach case, it's deeper than you think. So you can't just summarize it in a few points. You got to explain it in full length, which means multiple videos. And as I said, I'm the only channel out there to create 300 plus videos on the case, right? So it goes to show how deep it really is. Now, let's see what this person says. Keith, shout out to Keith, saying, over the course of the last year, my working theories come and go like the weather, but I think I've settled on at least 8 possible theories. Oh, here we go. Could be a long one. Oh no, maybe it's not that long. Okay, fair enough. So, the first 2 are for the believers. He was abducted by men in black and he is now in prison somewhere deep in the bowels of Area 15, or in exchange for his freedom and silence about what he saw. Kenny Veach no longer exists. See Witness Protection Program. But those two are definitely on the fringe. But everything is possible until proven otherwise. I wrote down #7, and the more I think about, the more it makes sense, based on the evidence or lack thereof. Hint, hint. Kenny Veach owed big money to unfriendly folk, organised crime, for example, and they were quickly closing the noose around him. He did the only thing he could do, go under the radar or something, circumstances, which was fake his own disappearance. Thanks again, Keith. You're welcome. I think Keith might have mentioned another comment further up, and this might have been an add-on, so we'll acknowledge it once we get there. Chopper saying, if he is alive, did his family don't give a rat's butt about him because they haven't looked for him? I wonder why, because I know he's not dead. Badger, odd comment. Chopper Chick starts off with, if he is alive, and ends with, I know he is alive. People, what the hell? Yeah, it seems a little bit random there. It might be a younger person, so the vocabulary and sentence structure is slightly limited. It does happen. DB, shout out to DB, saying outstanding work. Quite a bit of the small details to me suggest a person preparing to disappear if not wanted by law enforcement. This wouldn't be a hard thing to achieve. So shout out to this person. Good comment. Appreciate the words. There we go. Straight to the point. We got Sonny. Kenny Case King. Good work, my friend. One-man army for the win. Appreciate that. Kind of a one-man army, but still greatly complimented by the other people that do their hike videos. SB Vegas Adventures, Sean Hollecker, Jeff Clark, Jay Silverheels, and Jay Chuck. I think that's most of them are mentioned there. We got Conjunto saying, Warlike Raf, these are Sean's follow-up videos with his buddy from 2015 to 16. It's interesting how this person was able to post this comment with those links, considering YouTube is normally known to remove comments which include links because it's seen as spam. So it's interesting how this time it's allowed. But yeah, Conjunto, I did check those videos out in the past, and that's how I came across the keyhole and the weird reptilian-looking creature peeping through, supposedly, at the time. We got Lone Wolf. Great video. Keep the research coming. I will do appreciate that. I see there's a lot of jealous hater trolls out there who want to be you. Ha ha ha. Glad there are good people like you out there making a difference and hopefully helping bring a conclusion to this fascinating missing person story. Remember, only boring people have no haters, and if you are encountering some kind of resistance over your content, then you are on to something. So I appreciate that. Shout out to, let me just try and get the thing on screen. Shout out to Dreamland. Interesting profile picture as well. Joined 15 years ago, wow. So, good person. And nice comment. So yes, we'll continue. Just got to try and balance it out here and there with the other case of Dylan rounds and stuff. But yeah, when I see resistance, it's either you're getting too close to the truth and they don't want it being released, or it could be a form of jealousy. And more so, that's been demonstrated in recent time within the Dylan rounds community. So it is kind of like all coming together now. We got Austin saying, I love your channel and you're the only YouTuber I know who stands up against rude subscribers. Okay, that was an interesting observation there. So I'm glad you like the channel and the videos. Appreciate that. Shout out to Austin. Welcome to the channel. There's some very good comments here, which is good to see. And more so, comments from people I've never seen before. So, you know, it's one of those things, it's very good that you get regular people watching, but just as good when you get new people coming on in, whether it be just onto my channel or onto the other channels of people that have covered this case, because fresh eyes, newer perspectives, it can help. This person, Al, saying, here I am again watching another video. Last night on Dylan Rounds, having to fast forward through this video. You produce great content, however, I just cannot figure out how it takes you so long to present it. I only wish I had the time to watch all your videos. Understandable. I just simply said that when it comes to Kenny Veach videos, now, exception, this video will be longer because of the format, but when it comes to the more focused ones, it can be on the shorter length or so, 10 to 30 minutes, maybe 10 to 40, pushing it. But my Dylan Rounds ones do exceed the hour mark most of the time, but that's just because it's true crime and it's more loose. There's so many ideas and drama and events and supposed stuff that's happened, but it's just trying to make sense of it all. It's not just straight to the point, as it's not as linear as the Kenny Veach case, I would say. We got Al saying, thank you for responding, and fair enough, I was just trying to let you know that there is a whole other audience out there like me that looks over YouTube for info on these matters but will not click on a video over 20 to 30 minutes long. Rather ones that give them the quick updates. If any of those updates raise interest in my mind, then I'll go look for more detailed videos like yours. That'll give me more insight. I'm sure you probably already know this, but I figured I'd just throw it out there. That's okay. So what I have tried doing, Al, I don't know if you've seen it, hopefully YouTube put the videos out there in the first place for, you know, people like you and others to see. I've tried doing short videos recently, giving updates or brief analysis on important matters and findings. It can take time because I'm still doing my normal videos and balancing everything out, but the short videos are like, what are they, 10 to 20, 30 seconds long, which could be a little bit too short, but you know, it's straight to the point, right? When it comes to these videos, just because of my mindset, how I talk and how I understand it myself, because I don't use a script, I go along raw, right? It can take more time. I don't want to mess it up, and I definitely don't want to miss things out. So I just got a certain order about it. It could be very formal, but it worked in the Dylan Rounds case. And to be fair, it did work in the Kenny Veach case, arguably more so recent time. Some of the Kenny Veach videos did get a bit longer because I was looking back at the comments. So I thought, do you know what? I never used to, so I'll split it apart. The real important videos, we just get into it on that topic. As for the comments, we can do that in a standalone video, just allow people to talk, chat, and continue on. The format of my videos in terms of how they're produced in a live premiere format, the longer the video, the more chances and opportunity the general public gets to talk about the case and just in general to hang out and chat with one another in the live chat box itself. So I try and take that into account. Smooth Fishing says, I don't think the phone Kenny had at the time had GPS on it. I doubt hardly any phone had GPS back then unless maybe an iPhone. So to be honest, Kenny Veach went missing in 2014. Around that time, the iPhone already existed. So first of all, I don't know if Kenny Veach actually had an iPhone or an Android phone. If Susan can possibly clear that up, that would be appreciated. I mean, if it was an iPhone, then it would be interesting to see, was there anything on the iCloud storage, right? Because that's never been mentioned. But still, I do believe that in 2014 you did have smartphones. Now, maybe nowhere near as advanced as they are now, but I'm sure they had some kind of tracking service back then. You know, if smartphones had the likes of Google Earth or Google Maps, which can require location if you want to be tracked or, you know, follow a certain route that existed back then, around that time, then, you know, I think that's the case. I mean, the girlfriend or so, I think it was suggested that the phone was left where it was to prevent Kenny from being tracked, but really at the end of the day, if Kenny really didn't want to be found, he shouldn't have said, I'm going out into the desert in the first place, right? We got Marina saying 301 celebration. Appreciate that. That means the amount of videos I've made on the case. I've done a few more since. And we have Namis. He was trying to sell his house, right? Did he live alone or did his girlfriend live with him? If no, why not? If he was afraid to lose his house, why would he leave his camera on his last trip? Now, to answer the first question, Kenny Veach at one point in the past did live with the girlfriend Sharon Pilgrim, but eventually Kenny moved out and they were more seen as friends, but then regarded as a girlfriend again. The situation and relationship is a little bit weird and muddy, not quite clear. And I have done a video on that in the past. It's kind of like on, off. But also because the situation Kenny was in, maybe struggling here and there, Did the girlfriend do enough? Now, I know at the end of the day, you know, you shouldn't have to take on every single responsibility maybe to do with somebody, but, you know, if you care about them, then maybe there's a few exceptions. I think maybe it could have been lacking. Christy saying, and did he sell his house at the end? I don't remember. Good question. So the house was eventually sold, but was that done in line with when Kenny Veach was selling it himself? I can't remember. In terms of Kenny's initial proposal, he was willing to sell his house on the condition that he can still live there. So he's like a servant, a slave. I don't know what you'd call it, to be honest. You know, somebody that, like a housekeeper, but you live in your own house, but it's no longer, technically speaking, your house, but you still live there. That's what Kenny wanted. I think Kenny needed the money, but also he needed accommodation to live at. But if it was really that bad and desperate, I'm surprised the girlfriend didn't say, hey, you can come back and live with me. Because sometimes, well, I don't know about sometimes or often, depending how far you're into a relationship or something, you might live together. So I don't know why it was kind of divided then with Kenny and Sharon. But as I said, if you need to fill in any blanks, you can do so. So that appears to be there for the comments. Pretty good comments, to be honest with you. Now, let's move on to the more important video from last night. So in regards to this comment section, let's see responses by people when we questioned why did Kenny Veach walk by a prominent looking M-shaped cave which did match some of the descriptions. Yeah, he just ignored it, but he did acknowledge a lesser significant looking cave which didn't quite fit his description. Okay, hopefully it's a bit of a mouthful that, but we'll get the idea of whether people agree or not with what I was getting at. Start from the bottom for a few comments. We've got the M cave emoji there. Take in mind, if you wonder what these weird emojis are popping up on screen, whether it be the M cave symbol or witch's hat or some kind of badger mosaic art style thing, and many others, including the face, the Raph, the back of Raph, the chest of Raph, all these emojis, if you want to be able to use them yourself, you'd have to become a member on the channel. So if you want to become a member on the channel, feel free to do so. Now, who do we have here? We got Geo laughs at everything. So they say, and still to this day, no one has ever made a video about them walking up close to the cave Kenny looked at with the eyes that he said he was going into. Well, Jeff Clark said some did. Eddie saying, well, where is it? I live within a few hours more than likely. Jonathan, there's a million videos stating where, they give directions, coordinates, etc. It's up to you to go out and do it. It's been years. Okay. So only a select few people who are directly involved in the case. We're not talking about big channels. We're talking about the smaller channels that have put more effort and hard work in. They have provided coordinates such as SB Vegas Adventures, maybe Scott Natal, Jeff Clark, of course. They have given coordinates. Maybe, yes, definitely Sean Horlacker as well. And of course, most definitely me. And why me? Well, because I use Google Earth, where it's all about coordinates and mapping out. So you want to look at locations, the spot of this and that. Well, all you have to do is look back at my videos and you'll find that stuff. So it's under control there. Now, it was Jeff Clark recently that pointed out, okay, so hopefully this may answer your point, Geo loss at everything. That Sean Horlacker and possibly SB that went up to that area which Kenny Veach appeared scared of, okay? They didn't really find much when they went up to it, but they documented it. And I think I do remember it from Sean Horlacker's point of view. It might have been the 2016 hike out there with his friend. Close this off. Yeah, this was just like a summary as well from last night. So there's no harm in me reading this out to you, so you get the idea of the point of the video. The key point of the video at the time is, why would Kenny acknowledge the covered M cave which has less resemblance to his description but blank the prominent M-shaped cave beforehand? Even if it's not the true M cave, he could have at least pointed it out, such as Kenny, oh, a cave shaped just like this one, right? And with his casual attitude on his hike whilst mismanaging equipment, it does make you think, was he really looking for the cave or going for a stroll? And when I said going for a stroll, not like a light-hearted one, but, you know, he's just not taking it, is he taking it serious enough? Jeff Clark says, no one goes for a stroll in the sheep range for 11 miles, no one adds gear and weight to their body unless they think they will actually need them. He states that he will use the tripod to film himself entering the M cave with his gun and light. I just can't imagine him adding excess nonsense on such a hike that he knows will be very arduous. And yet he takes all those items with him to be able to explore these caves, in which there are no caves in the area he walked past which are deep enough. So that's another question in itself, right? And this is my additional point, Jeff Clark. If Kenny Veach was to set his tripod up with the camera, recording him going into the cave, well, isn't that pointless? How are we supposed to see it from the point of view of Kenny Veach? Oh, he goes in there and he might not come back out. Okay, it might prove something happened to him and where he went into. But we don't see it from the point of view of what it looks like inside of the cave. Really, if you're going to go somewhere and explore, you take a camera with you, and if you're going to go into somewhere, then you take the camera with you. You don't leave it outside, set up. What good does that do? Kenny Veach could walk into that cave with the camera on the outside, and then later, maybe 30 minutes or an hour later, he comes back out and he says, whoa, you won't believe what I saw in there. It was all kinds of weird stuff, and then cuts the video. And what? We're meant to believe that. You get what I'm saying? If you're going to go into something and you want to prove and document it, you got to take the camera with you and not leave it by the side of the bloody door. Okay? But my original comment here said, if he was there to find a cave and all in, he would have made more of an effort to look for it. He spent more time picking nuts from the ground than he did investigating. And that seems to be the case, right? He got on his hands and knees, squat position, and started picking the nuts up. And I think more time was spent there. We got Cleo, totally agree, and I get the video. That's good to hear. We got James saying those marks are from a hatch to all those underground military tunnels, maybe. Maybe use a frequency deterrent weapon before it opens to clear the area. Who knows? I mean, people have talked about military equipment out there, military access denial systems and vibrations to put people off and make them scared or just feel uncomfortable to push them away. Jeff Claus felt vibrations himself, I think near Cowcoal Road or so, passing through. I think this might be another comment further up as well about military hatches. I mean, let me know your thoughts, Jeff Clark. Do you think there's any possibility or room for military hatches near to this, covered up cave, keyhole cave area? We got Angelina, happy Thanksgiving. Got Glenn, Edward. I think Kenny was throwing people off the trail by saying that's the cave. If he was ultimately trying to put people off the trail, he could have made more of an effort to say this is it, or this reminds me of the area, but I don't know, it just seems different now. He could have elaborated a little bit more just to confuse people more, or to make others truly believe that this is a spot, unless he was doing it in a more loose, cryptic way and he already sensed that people would fall for it. I mean, look at him at the mine shaft. He wasn't even trying there. He was simply doing an introduction. But just by Kenny standing near the mine shaft and then later on his final hike out there in November time, having the phone and coins nearby it, was that planned by Kenny? He does his hike video introduction at the mine shaft, and then when he goes out there the final time unrecorded, he leaves the items there too. So what, people link one with another and instantly come to the conclusion that, oh, Kenny's in the mine shaft? A lot of people fell for that, didn't they? So did Kenny Veach plan it? I wonder. Edward also says, besides James, those marks in front of J Chuck are looking like a hatch to tunnels, as a comment below states. Did Kenny come across it and get taken by military? June, since he was right there, did he give his opinion on what he thought they were or close up of them? So the thing is, June, when J Chuck went out there, I know he's been out there since, but like a month ago or so, a few weeks back, when J Chuck went there, he didn't even notice those marks in the ground. He wasn't even aware of them. It even surprised him after when it was brought up in discussion online. That's the thing. Yes, you can go out there. Yes, you can hike and record it, but still you will miss out on stuff. That's why it's important for the viewers and anyone online to watch the footage back and pick up on stuff, then, inform the hikers about it. We got this guy here with a beard saying, wishing I could take back my view of this tripe. Well, that's unfortunate because now you are seen as a number, a statistic. Okay? This person says, occasionally throughout history, effete microbes such as this tosser have stood on the shoulders of those who have actually made effort to do something. The retrorative blather which is suffered upon viewers' mind-numbing. Perhaps the cave he walked past wasn't the one, and he knew that. How about you get out of the jammies and out of your mom's basement and go find the fricking thing? So I think this person tries to use a bit more advanced vocabulary to increase their IQ level, but clearly it comes crashing back down to zero, or almost zero, because this person appears as an impetuous, degenerative imbecile. I already predicted this type of language, what one could come out with in the actual video that this prat watched. So congratulations, very predictable behaviour. Take in consideration that those that have gone out there and have practically been able to have also acknowledged and appreciated my map analysis videos and analysis in general. I've brought to attention which stuff they've never seen. I've created hike routes which have helped and complemented them, and they've remained safe, and they have returned back safe. I think that's quite important there, the logistics behind that, okay? On land, in air, and on sea. They're all important, right? Different types of people, different groups and areas. Take one away, the gears stop, grinding, going round. So, yeah. And the bit where it says, get out of the basement. See, this is such an American insult to use. But then again, I think people from the UK do as well. The reality is, not everyone in the UK has basements. This is not the US, okay? This is the UK. You might have an attic, but not a basement nor a cellar. There'll be some out there that do, but one definitely doesn't. So your point's invalid, okay? You go to such great lengths and depths to use certain words and language which may not normally be used, uncommon words and descriptions, yet you just crash with just a pathetic response. It's embarrassing. Anyway, as well. Wow, long comment as well. This person is an impetuous, egocentric individual lacking reasoning ability, failed at the concrete foundational stages of development as a child. Now, moving on. Whoa. So Conjunto says, hey Raf, I watched your live feed but decided to wait until now after I thought it out. Fair enough, that's probably a good decision. Kenny seems to show all the signs of a person afflicted with ADHD. I know several people who have all the signs but are functioning, himself being. My point being is the word focus or lack of it, especially if one is disengaging their daily dosage to infrequent medicating. Kenny might be what we hear referred to as sketchy. In his behaviour at times, I believe he is sincere, but he does some illogical stuff that is confusing to normies. My example is, what you did a very good job of laying it out with inconsistent mind-boggling oversights, especially bring back in that area previously visited, but failing to climb a very easy, approachable diagonal cave that looked deep enough to be of a special interest. The other is his bypassing the real M cave outside appearance, but not exhibiting any signs of magnetic resonance. Also, I believe the real M cave is the diagonal cave he backed off on climbing up to investigate. Okay, that M cave was a cover for the true cave. Interesting. The diagonal cave that was deep and somewhat ominous, and to be perfectly honest with you, looked like there was something inside, something shiny, almost like eyes even in the distance. Another point, why would he fail to bring his video camera with him on his third hike, final one? He got nervous. Maybe had someone call him from Nellis Air Force Base to report that he caught the attention of their previously possible dump site for radioactive materials, fair enough, or munitions. Anyway, these are just some of my suggestions. People like Kenny, and I'm going out on a limb here, are susceptible to being spooked by entities and principalities of the spirit world. If one is confident and is spiritually grounded in faith and has the armor of God, they don't let themselves be affected by such research, or they would not go it alone for follow-up hike. I pray Kenny is alive and just walked away from his financial problems. I pray he sought out being led by the Holy Spirit and became a born-again believer in our Savior. I pray he has just drops an anonymous message to you or any of his family, his sister, brother, or old girlfriend. I only know that when I choose to be born again in Christ, but not necessarily religious, but committed to the word and the commandments, but a new Kenny is renewed and his whole deal can be wrapped up. It is intriguing and it has drawn me back in after a hiatus of 2 to 3 years. Wow, quite some time. Good job of logical deductions and detective work. I love your approach. It took me a few months to get used to your style. I mean, you are in the UK and have not gone to the area in that sheep range or in Lucin, Utah, Montella, Nevada in the Dylan Rounds case. Okay. So it looks like this person has also looked into the Dylan Rounds case too, which is good to see. A long comment, appreciate it. It probably would have taken you some time to type it up. So yeah, and I do get what you're saying there. That lack of focus at times and switching and changing. I think you might not be the only one that points that out. I think there's another person. So it could develop a bit of consistency there. As for the medication part, Sharon Pilgrim, the girlfriend, said Kenny wasn't on medication. He wasn't taking any. So that seems a bit irresponsible considering the girlfriend is a mental health professional and just let Kenny do his own thing. So there's a little bit dodgy there and some other stuff happening. Okay. We got June saying, I don't feel that is DM cave. Its lines are not sharp enough to me, and that cave is not on ground level as he shows. Well, technically, it's approaching ground level. And he said that in his first statement, which I believe was the truth. Also, I've always wondered why everyone believed his ex-girlfriend's statement about everything, like what he took and what he left at home. I find it very shady that she would put such personal business out about Kenny, his job, his money problems, his depression, him speaking of suicide. Actually, how dare she? Then, in your short video, that camera was moved by someone. Was it her? Yeah, it was a little bit weird. I don't know if you've seen it, June, but I did do another video in the past. It's one of my most viewed videos on my channel, if you check the filters on my channel page, and it was a strange female type laugh caught on camera at the start of Kenny's hike video. Very creepy. Now, as for the unreleased footage, as we've seen and analysed over time, the highlight of it being hashtag number 9, part 9 of the short video series that I've been running on my channel, or so. Yeah, it looks like the camera does move, but it might have been the wind at the time that adjusted it, though still the movement seems a little bit unnatural when it comes to nature, possibly, so I get that. Anything else? I mean, the bit about that prominent M-shaped looking cave in the area on lower ground, it is on lower ground. Is it on the base ground? Not really, but to be honest, the lower ground which is connected up to the cave technically makes it on lower ground in a sense. It's just got a bit of a gradient, a small gradient to say. Yeah. Gene saying, Sean Horlacker went out there to see if rocks were put there manually or by nature, didn't he? He moved too slightly and said they were a bit loose and could have been placed there by someone. Maybe. I mean, it looked like may have been there for a bit of time. They looked a bit cracked. Maybe that's what's weakened them, weathered with time, possibly, as some people state it's natural. Though, even though Sean said they were a bit loose, one or two of them, he couldn't really move it because they were still very heavy. So maybe some additional equipment was used in the future, because the bit where Sean was wobbling is now no longer there because it fell onto the ground. So I did do a video of that on my channel covering it. A little bit interesting, right? We got Jace saying, I think Sean Horlacker had it right. It was covered up like the JFK assassination. Right, okay, interesting. June says, sorry I'm putting another comment out. No, it's fine, you leave as many comments as you want. She says, but I just watched a video exploring abandoned mines and unusual places. Oh yeah, shout out, is that Frank? Yeah. Shout out to Frank. From 2 years ago, found by someone called Don. Oh yeah. And this is not Don from the Dylan Rounds case. This is Don, military personnel that reached out to Frank. Okay. Yes, military. Said it's the M cave. It was not deep, but he said rumour has it that it has a trapdoor that leads to underground tunnels. Has anyone seen this? Yes, I've seen this. June, I documented it all, analysed it on my channel, an hour long, or nearly an hour long, very deep and up close with it. So we looked at all the items that were found there and a follow-up too. Now, we got Patrick saying, there's another explanation why Kenny Veach may have walked past what could have been the fabled M-shaped cave. Kenny knew that he made up the story of the M-shaped cave, that there was no such cave. After watching a YouTube video titled Son of an Area 51 Technician, Veach posted a boastful comment. That ain't nothing. I'm a long-distance hiker. One time during one of my hikes out by Nellis Air Force Base, I found a hidden cave. The entrance to the cave was shaped like a perfect capital M. I always enter every cave I find, but as I began to enter this particular cave, my whole body began to vibrate. The closer I got to the cave entrance, the worse the vibrating became. Suddenly, I became very scared and hightailed out of there. That was one of the strangest things that ever happened to me. As I began to enter this particular cave, my whole body began to vibrate. The closer I got to the cave, the worse the vibrating became. Doesn't make any sense. Did his body start to vibrate as he approached, got closer to the cave, or as he began to enter the cave, standing at the mouth? Veach supposedly returned at a later date with a 9mm handgun and a video camera. As he told it, some mysterious force in the cave had caused his whole body to vibrate as he approached the cave, so on his return visit he took a handgun, assumably for protection. What was he going to shoot? The mysterious force? Yeah, true. The machine the force was emitting from, the alien creature the force was emitting from. How was being armed with a handgun going to make it safe to enter a cave with a mysterious force that makes your body vibrate? Famously, Kenny Veach didn't carry a GPS, so he wasn't able to record the location of the M-shaped cave when he found it. True, that's unfortunate. It's no doubt true that not every cell phone contained a GPS at the time, but Apple introduced a built-in GPS with the iPhone 3G in 2008. Oh yeah. The iPhone didn't have a front-facing camera until the iPhone 4 in 2010, but the very first iPhone had a camera capable of taking still photos. I don't know what kind of cell phone Kenny Veach owned at the time he claimed to have discovered the M-shaped cave, nor do I know whether he carried his cell phone with him on that hike. He certainly brought his cell phone on what's reputed to be his last hike since he left it there. True. Veach probably never expected his YouTube comment to garner as much attention as it did, but when he returned with a video camera to feed the flames of his viral YouTube comment, he had no need to climb up a hill to investigate a cave if he knew for certain the M-shaped cave it described existed only in his imagination. Okay, so once again, a very interesting comment written up here. Good of you would have taken some time to write out as well, so I appreciate that. Yes, possibilities to acknowledge and look at. I mean, maybe it's a situation of Kenny got more than what he bargained for, didn't expect things to blow up as they did, or didn't expect that many people to question him and to encourage him back out there, possibly. Christy, to me, Kenny saying sounds like it looks like there is something in there because he zoomed in before saying. This is my interpretation. Fair enough. Yeah, maybe. And if he did see something, it might have scared him, whether it was truly there or not. Now, this is interesting because the comment that was mentioned lower down about ADHD, Christy seems to mention it too, so we'll see. Christy says, I know you don't like to talk about mental health when it comes to Kenny Veach, but I write it anyway. I'm pretty sure Kenny has ADHD. That's why he is easily distracted searching the M cave and collecting nuts instead. You can clearly see in it many of his videos. That's why he never finishes sentences, struggles with focusing on things. He had a hyperactive brain. Look at all the things he has created in his house. He is definitely over the top in a positive way compared to the people he has to deal with, including the members and subscribers of his YouTube channel. Somebody said he struggles with depression. Depression is connected with ADHD. Honestly, I can't see him taking his own life. I see him more, and he's been smart enough playing games and make you think he's dead when he's not, positioning items here and there like his phone, and obviously have no evidence, but there's no reason why I still think he's still alive. Okay. So it's interesting how more than one person thinks this way, which is interesting. And also, besides the depression part, as the bandwagon goes on, ADHD, it's a different aspect and angle. And, I can understand it more there, the ADHD part, because of his behaviour or the lack of focus and the switching and changing all of a sudden, not finishing stuff. Yeah. And there's material, what we've looked at over time, where it could be reinforced by that. rather than the depression part, which doesn't seem to show as clearly. So yeah, but you know what the biggest issue is? The fact that the girlfriend has never mentioned it, nor maybe did a diagnosis or got him to have a diagnosis. That's never been mentioned, only depression. So was the girlfriend lacking in terms of the professional field she's in? Maybe. Now, Christy, very interesting video. You're welcome. Glad it helped. And last but not least, we got Kobayashi saying, thanks for the last update. Some thoughts of mine. Okay. My opinion is that Kenny indeed tried to find the MK from the start. Reason why he was spending too much time for other things like pinion nuts, pine nuts, or animals was because Kenny was in fact nature loving. Just a fact. Yeah. Please look at his behavior when he finally finds something besides MK, which is related to nature. There is a clever happiness of that finding, so this could explain why he was so hesitant to go forward and find a cave. Now, I see sudden changes of behaviour of Kenny when he enters the canyon where M Cave should be located when he turns right and shows two shallow caves. In my opinion, his behaviour rapidly changes upon words deep and dark. Why? Maybe he sees something on the left side of the camera view in the direction of the covered M cave while he still records two caves. Maybe he notices changes at the exact spot where M cave should be. Maybe he realised that something is not right 1 month ago in that place with the cave, and first glance there is no more. Maybe he was scared enough not to show about his discovery. So scared that someone covered it up before, and maybe he was being watched whilst filming. So instead of stopping and finding out what happened to the entrance, he turned left and started to record another cave, as like it was more important than the cave just behind him. I don't know if he was scared, but his sudden change of behaviour during words dark and deep is for sure. Finally, correct me if I'm wrong, but after zooming the cave on the left side, his walking pace is faster than usual. Definitely he acts strange, like he realised he is being watched all of a sudden. A couple seconds later, whilst he reaches the entrance to Skull Canyon, everything is back in its place, old as we know him. Kenny reappears really strange. So, Kobayashi, or how you say his name, your point about Kenny speeding up when he's walking, could be somewhat valid. You're not the only person to raise that question and observation. It was Christy as well, that sense that he started walking faster than before. So maybe something was going on at the time. Finally, Kenny panicked because all of a sudden he is losing control of the situation. He finds out new arrangements upon which he was not prepared. So he's scared and acts as nothing happened. So for long cred, really like your videos and your opinion about the case. Keep doing the same. Best regards. So will do. Appreciate that. It's good what you said. It's nice. And as well, the time it took to type it up, because, I know I make it harder for myself having to read them all out and then makes my mouth dry. But I do understand that for the people watching, it can take time for you to type up all the comments. So I do acknowledge that as well. So some very important, interesting observations here in terms of the comments. Very important, very focused, very good to see. So yeah, looks like we've reached the end of the comments for today. So what are your thoughts on Kenny Veach possibly having ADHD or some form of it? Let me know down below. I don't know how many comments I got through today, but I think these are some of the best comments I've seen for a while, and it made time go by quicker, which is a positive there. I just wanted to catch up on everything for now, because once again, we had some hard-hitting videos in recent time. Personally, I'm disappointed by how YouTube has treated them, such as the short videos. If you didn't already know, YouTube has been restricting, limiting, silencing my coverage on the case. So I've had to delay things over time. And here and there, I've re-uploaded videos in hopes of it working, and then later it did work, but now I'm left with like duplicate videos. But they're already uploaded. What can I do about it? There's no harm in spreading awareness in certain areas if it didn't receive its true potential to begin with. As for standard videos, I think the reach could be there in the future. Well, I hope so at least, because, if you're going to cover important videos, you want as many people to hear about it. So, for those that are currently here, that's good to know and good to see. Feel free to share the video to help spread awareness of the case itself, to keep it alive, and we'll see what happens next. I think I do need to do at least one more of a Kenny Veach video before I return back to Dylan Round's coverage one. It can be acknowledging Andrew Culver's suggestion. We can look back at that. It'll probably be a shorter video, so don't worry about that, and it'll be more focused there. But here and now we have these discussions, catch-ups, you know, on what's gone down recently, what's happened. I started implementing it in the Dylan Rounds case, right, when it was really full on and there was all kinds of conflict, both in the case and the community. These debrief sessions puts it into perspective, what's happened, what's currently happening, and what to expect for the future, right? And in this situation, it's just like acknowledging retrospectively what's recently been covered as for the videos and how it's applied to Kenny. And these comments as well have been relevant, so that's all good, all linking together. So at the end of the day, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it somewhat interesting. See you next time. Goodbye. Good night for now.